So just bear with me, because that's not a talent that God gave me, but I've asked him to just use me as a vessel and speak through me tonight, because this story is not about me, but it's about what God has done through me in my life. And it's just so big that it just needs to be shared. So like Brett said, I'll be leaving actually next Sunday. So this Sunday you're going to see me really teary, because it's going to be my last Sunday officially at Higher Trails. So I'm going to tell you the story of how I got here. About 2 years ago, I was listening to 94.9 in the morning. Does anybody listen to that station? So in the morning, in the morning it's Frank, Starling, and Hudson. So I was listening, and Hudson had went with Food for the Poor to Haiti. And he was talking about it. He was talking about just the desperation of Haiti. He was talking about what he had done there, and it tugged at my heartstrings, and I just thought, I need to do that. And we don't have a missions group here, of course, and I didn't really know who to ask or who to call or how to get involved. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to call the radio station, because they're going to be able to point me in the right direction. So I called them, and Hudson answered the phone, which he was the one that was speaking about it. And so we sat there and chatted for a minute, and he was like, oh my gosh, I want to be best friends. Let me take down your information. And so he wrote down my information, and I didn't end up hearing from him, which is fine. Life went on, life got busy. So now comes the part of my story that's a little bit more challenging to talk about. So that desire never left my heart, but I continued to serve here in church, of course, and life happened. And I got married, and I was teaching, and life just got busy, and that kind of got put on the back burner. And a couple years ago, I really didn't realize that I was about to enter what would become the darkest time in my life. And I'm just going to give you a brief summary of some of the things that were going on that God pulled me through and got me to this point. Many of you unfortunately know that I went through a divorce, and in doing that, I also had to put my house on the market. I was having trouble at work. I was trying to wrap up my master's degree. I had to put my dog down all within a matter of months, and it just really felt like all of my life was crumbling around me, and I felt like I was in this pit that I just didn't really know how to get out of. It was to the point where I was going to bed praying that God would just take me in my sleep, because it was so dark. And I had a new teammate join my team, and she said, Casey, hey, I'm going on a mission trip to Haiti. Why don't you go with me? And how could I refuse? God had laid this on my heart, and he had laid Haiti on my heart. That was where I first heard about this, and she was sitting there asking me to go to Haiti with her. And so I said yes, and we started planning this. And as you probably know, mission trips have to be planned very far in advance, because there's a lot that goes into them. So while we're planning on this, all those other things were happening, and y'all know that when you're doing good things, the devil's going to come tapping your shoulder, and that was absolutely happening. And I just kept pushing forward, and I knew that I had to do the mission trip because of how much the devil was trying to pull me off my mountain. I knew I was on the right track with that, and so I was planning to go to Haiti, and just all these things were happening in my life, and I just kept pushing forward and pushing forward. So in May-ish, my house got put on the market, and then in June, I went to Haiti. And at that time, I was a Texas girl through and through. I didn't really want to do more than a short-term mission trip. I was comfortable with that. You could have probably paid me $1 million to move out of the country, much less out of Texas. Just wasn't something I was interested in at all. But I went to Haiti, and it's a third world country. I believe it's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, if I'm not mistaken, on the last statistics that I read. And it's very depressing. They're very oppressed by their government. They're very poor. If you follow me on Facebook, I talk a lot about it, and so I'm probably going to be repeating things that you've already read about, but they're lucky if they make $2, $5 a day. $5 a day is what they can scrape by to live on. So they're very poor. Their houses, most of them, look like the sheds in our backyards. And I'd never been anywhere like that. I'd never really seen extreme poverty like that. And so you can imagine it really tugged at my heart. In addition, we went to 3 orphanages, and all of you probably know that my heart is for children. So that definitely changed my heart completely. I just My heart was so wrecked for those kids and for Haiti in general. So we had went with a group called Global Orphan Project, and on our second day in Haiti, Amy, who was the leader of our group, we were in there talking, we were driving up into the mountains, which is about a 3-hour drive, so we had some time to sit and chat. And she tells me that she's coming back to the States in 2019, and I asked her, well, who's going to take your position? Who's going to take your job? And she told me that she didn't know. And as you can imagine, with everything that I had going on in my life, my soul was very unsettled. And when she told me that, I had this peace wash over me. That's really the only way I can explain it. I just had this complete relief in my soul, and this complete knowing that was God telling me, Casey, I put you in the perfect position to serve in a big way. Because that realization just came over me, like everything that I was calling a loss was really a setup for me to serve God in a way that I never could have before. And that peace just came over me and it has not left me since. And so I started praying for God to show me some signs, show me some big signs. That's how I prayed. I'm like, God, show me big signs, because this is a big deal. I need some big, clear signs. This is what you want from me. And so I started asking Amy questions about what is it like to live in Northern Haiti, and she didn't say anything that deterred me. So I continued to pray about it. On our 4th night in Haiti, I was having a conversation with the pastor who I went with. His name's Dennis, and I was telling him what was on my heart, and he thought it was incredible. And as we're wrapping up the conversation, the CEO of Global Orphan Project, who just happened to be in town on business, approaches us and just has a conversation with us. He was telling us about his story. He was telling us about some of the stories of the women who work at the place where we were staying, some of the Haitian women, and he was just having a conversation with us. I'd never met him before. He had not been present for any of the conversation between Dennis and I. And at the end, he was telling us that when you do mission work and when you work with orphans, that it creates this window, this space with God that's really unlike any other. And he said there's absolutely a purpose for this mission trip, but you've got about 2 weeks to act on that purpose when you get home, because your first world problems and your first world priorities start to just pressure that window shut. And so you really need to act quickly before that window of opportunity closes. And he said it could be something as small as apologizing to a spouse. And then Dennis put his arm around me and he said, or, it could be something big. And at that point, I've got tears in my eyes. And Joe, the CEO, again, who I had never met, who was not present for this conversation, looks me square in the eyes. He goes, look, I don't know you, but I know this. You are important and you are worthy, and I feel like you've questioned your purpose for your life. And I'm here to tell you that when you go home, you need to be courageous for what God is calling you to do. And I just started bawling. And because I'm human, that wasn't a big enough sign. So I kept praying, God, show me a big sign. And he actually delivered. So a few more days later, I came home, and I had not been in the States more than a few minutes, and my realtor, Robin Love, started blowing up my phone and saying that, Casey, look, I'm so sorry, but I need to get a hold of you because we have a really solid offer on your house. However, they need an answer tonight, and we close in 3 weeks. And anybody that's bought or sold a home knows that that's crazy. Well, 3 weeks to the day that I got back from Haiti, my house was sold. We closed, it was done. And so at that point, it was very clear what God wanted of me, for me, that I had asked him for big signs again and again, kind of greedily, but he delivered. And so I started interviewing with Global Orphan for that, for Amy's position. So I interviewed with them for a number of weeks, and ultimately they decided that they wanted to go with somebody that had more experience in Haiti. And so I was very crushed. I questioned God again. I'm like, what? You put me here? At that point, I had already resigned from my teaching job for the coming year. I had already resigned from it. And taken that step of faith, just saying, God, look, you've shown me in big ways that this is what I'm supposed to do. I had to make a decision, and I had made the decision to walk away. And so I was questioning God. I just walked away from my career. Am I crazy? What am I doing? And I had to do some self-evaluating, and I just thought, you know what? God never called me to Global Orphan. That was never the calling. The call was to Haiti. And so one thing that Global Orphan had done was they had connected me with some different groups on Facebook with like missionaries and expats that are in Haiti or that have organizations in Haiti. And so I just posted on there, hey, look, I'm a teacher. I've been a teacher for 5 years. I have a master's in curriculum instruction. Is there somebody that can use my skill sets? And I probably had 20 organizations that were talking to me in a matter of 2 days. One of them stood out. The organization is called Haiti Foundation Against Poverty. For me, it was really important to seek out an organization that was not giving handouts, but giving hand-ups. What Haiti needs is sustainability, because if we're just going over there and giving them clothes and giving them shoes and giving them food, well, that's not solving any of the problems long-term. And so I wanted somebody that was set on sustainability through employment of patients, through giving them livable wages, and through education, and that was all of their mission. And so we started talking, and ultimately what they needed was a teacher. And they needed a teacher who was experienced in teaching all age groups, because they have a position for ages 4 to 6th grade, but then that position would also be a community educator who would educate the community on just whatever the needs may be, whether it's they've done breastfeeding, they've done financial seminars, just whatever the needs of the community are, they need somebody to develop trainings for the community. And so it was really a perfect fit, and the more I talked to them, the more that I fell in love with them and their organization, and they wound up offering me a job, which I accepted. So again, next Sunday is when I leave, so there's some more pieces to the story that have also fallen into place in the meantime. So if you remember in the beginning when I was talking about the radio, so I have been working at a daycare just to kind of have some income in the meantime. This daycare just, I worked for them when I was in college, and I had gone by there in the last 6 months or so just to kind of reconnect with them. And I said, I had emailed them whenever I got back home from Haiti and said, look, God's laid Haiti on my heart, and I really need some sort of income. In the meantime, I can't promise you anything long-term, but would you be willing to employ me just for a short time? And they were like, yeah, we're about to open our second school, and you're completely an answer to our prayers. So I've been working for them. So it was cool that God was working on both sides of that. So whenever I was on my way to work, there were a few days where I felt like this push to call the radio station. I don't know why, because I'm sure you can hear my voice is shaky. I don't like speaking in front of people, much less on the radio, but I kept feeling this push to call the radio back. And again, it's been a couple of years since that first conversation with John Hudson. And so I kept trying. I tried 3 or 4 times without really talking to anybody. And then last week, or the week before last, I again was feeling that push to call the radio station. So I called, and who else answers other than John Hudson? So we start talking, like, look, I don't know if you remember me. It's been a couple years. You probably don't remember me, but I called and I was like, I wanted you to give me information on mission work. I was really interested. And he was like, oh my gosh, I do remember you, and I don't mean to be a creep, but I have thought about you so much, and I am so glad you called. And he was so excited to hear from me, and he was like, I want to hear what you've been up to. So I told him everything I just told y'all, in a shorter version. And he's on the phone. He and Frank and Starling, they were all talking to me. And so he's like, hey, Casey, can you stay on the line? I just want to get some information from you. So then it was just me and him talking. And he's like, okay, so what's your phone number? What's your Facebook? He said, here's what happened. He said, I had this studio binder where I wrote down your information in, and it got taken. And he said, I'm so sorry. He said, so I'm putting your information in my phone so that I have it. I want you to come next week to the studio, and I want you to be the first guest on this online podcast that we're about to roll out. Can you do that? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely, I'm going to do that. So I went last week to be on the radio station podcast, and at the end, he had stopped the recording, and we're just having a conversation. And so John Hudson, he's actually a firefighter and a paramedic, and that's where his passion lies. He never wanted to do radio. He told me multiple times, I have no idea what I'm doing. He just feels like that's where God has wanted him, and he actually got nominated recently for a Rising Star Award. So not only does he feel like he doesn't know what he's doing, but he's actually good at it. And so we're sitting here talking about that day that I called, and he tells me I was having such a rough day. apparently somebody had called the radio station griping and ranting about him, and his senior radio personality, Frank, thought it was funny and ended up airing it. And so he was having just a rough morning, and he was sitting there thinking, I'm done. I am done. This is never what I wanted. I need to just focus on firefighting and paramedic. I'm done with this. And then I called. And he said, you reminded me of why God put me here. And he said, you truly made my day, and you rejuvenated my spirit to do this. And so it was so cool just to see in all those situations with the daycare I've been working at, with Hadi Foundation Against Poverty, with the radio station. It was so cool to see how God was working on both sides of the equation to put me in this place. So again, next Sunday is the day that I'm leaving. Really early in the morning. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for getting up and taking me in advance. And I will be gone for, the contract's for 9 months. It's for the school year, but I do get to come back for the holidays. So what I need from you guys is lots and lots and lots of prayer, because obviously I'm very excited right now, but it's not going to be an exciting thing all the time. It's not going to be an easy thing, because I'm going to get over there and I'm going to see people that are dying that an easy trip to the hospital could fix in America. I'm going to see situations that we could never fathom that have easy solutions in our eyes, but over there they don't, and it's going to be frustrating and it's going to be hard, and at times it's going to feel really lonely, and I know that. And so I really need prayers from you guys. So if you could add me to your prayer list, that would be great. I also need sponsorship, because I am now technically becoming a missionary. So if you're interested in sponsoring me, or if God is laying that on your heart, then my mom in the pink shirt can give you information on that. She's got a piece of paper that will tell you how to do that. But what I want you to take from this story is two things. Number one, if God is calling you to do something, I know that it seems scary. It might be a career change. It might be making amends with an estranged family member. I don't know, but I just want to tell you that if God is bringing you to something, that He's going to pave the way to make it happen for you. And so take that step, take that leap of faith, and go for it. Because if God has brought you there, He's going to hold your hand and get you through it to where He wants you. And I hope that I'm living proof of that. And the second thing is, I didn't go into too much detail, but I hope I made it clear that I was in a dark place and that I was going through some storms. And so I hope what all of you can take away from this is just remember, you're not going to have a rainbow without the storms. But if you're in that storm, just stick to it. And I know that that's so easy for me up here to say, but I just hope that it gives all of you hope. If you're in a dark place, that there's better coming. The storm is just a season. It doesn't last forever, and there is going to be a rainbow afterwards if you just keep having faith in God and keep pushing forward. So thank you for letting me speak tonight, and thank you for listening to me. That's probably faster than what Brett anticipated, but when I get nervous, I talk really fast. And I'm proud of myself because I didn't cry. I'm proud of me.